Juan, um, I've heard a lot about Nillion, and I've finally got you on a chair next to me. So yeah, if you could introduce yourself and introduce your project, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Funny that we met kind of through the Zcash community, and now here we are talking about something else, but it's all related, right? Financial privacy, data privacy, two peas in a pod. So, yeah, I'm Juan Angel. I am ecosystem growth lead at Nillion. At Nillion, what we're building is what we call the blind computer, and the blind computer allows you to compute on any sort of set of data. Could be confidential, proprietary, sensitive for a variety of different reasons, without ever actually seeing the raw data, the inputs, or who they belong to, and still being able to extract aggregated insights about these patterns or behaviors or whatever else you want to do. And this is applicable to tons of different use cases, from decentralized science and doing distributed experiments geographically, to private AI, being able to talk to an LLM, use it like a therapist, like a lot of people already do, but without that just going into a third-party server where who knows how long it is until that's going to be exploited and sold, and without that ever being used against you, right? So the idea is just to create technology that allows developers to create apps to empower people to take full control over their data, share it if they want to, not share it if they don't want to, monetize it if they please, and really just kind of invert this model that we're living in right now, where it's these, behemoths that own everybody's data and control the narrative.
I fully agree. And no one should know how many hours I'm sleeping, or how much I'm earning for those hours that I'm sleeping. So could you tell us a bit about some of the apps that are currently being developed in the Nillion ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned sleep, because we have a couple sleep campaigns that are ongoing right now. We have a team called Fulcro Dynamics, and they're essentially focused around letting you connect everything about your digital life, your calendars, your contact information, your emails, in a privacy-preserving way, alongside with your wearables and all the other health trackers you might have, and find these patterns that otherwise would be unobservable to the naked eye or to somebody who's not a trained data analyst, right? Then we also have Stadium Science, and what they're trying to do is make scientific research a competition in a game. So it really looks like something fun and very consumer app friendly on the front, and in the back end, what's really happening is they're creating these very rich data sets of how people, to start with, because it's going to be a lot more stuff in the long run, how people sleep around the world, how different geographies and the things around them impact them, and their daily life habits as well. Do they drink caffeine? Do they not? When do they go to bed? When do they wake up? The end goal is that eventually you can have it so that, because these users are the only people who own their own sleep data, which could be updated from a Whoop, from an Apple Watch, from an Android device, or an Apple Health Kit, only they can decide how it's used. So right now, Stadium Science can extract aggregated insights across the board without seeing anybody's specific data points, unless these people choose to opt in to share it publicly, because they have a competitive aspect, a leaderboard, a sleeper board, they call it. But in the future, what might happen is that you have something like a medical research company or a supplement company that comes in and says, we want to query this rich data set to understand these different consumer profiles. And Stadium Science has the choice to say, for every time they run a query and that touches the data that you've contributed to the data set, you're going to get a payout. So now we're really turning around this concept of people just leaking their data everywhere they go, not understanding it has a value, to people being able to put an actual dollar sign to the amount of data that they're generating. So it's really something powerful.
Just an initial reaction from that.
Yeah.
Maybe a recommendation for Stadium Science.
Yeah.
So we know that data ownership is vital.
Mm-hmm.
But the current model seems like it's the research company or the lab or the company that's deciding the payout amount.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a paradigm in which the user could auction the data and the highest bidder takes it?
Yeah, all of this is possible. And right now, by the way, it's not that they've stated that this is the defined goal. It's that this is one of the avenues they could take, right? Because ultimately, in Nillion, when you as a user generate data points and you upload them into our encrypted database, you're the only one with the private key for that. So this is the big difference that helps it click for people. If you share your data with a third party today, it could be any one of these big technology companies we know of, or any of these consumer apps. If you want them to delete that data or no longer use it, all you have is a trust me bro guarantee.
Yeah.
You could, maybe if you are in Europe, you could submit a GDPR request and they'll send it and the company will say like, we promise we deleted it.
Yeah.
There might even be audits that prove that they deleted it. You don't have cryptographic proof that they deleted it. But if you are using the Nillion model in your application, users simply revoke access to that data point. And it doesn't matter if the company doesn't want to give back to them or anything else, because that user is the only one who can cryptographically and verifiably prove that they own the data, and therefore they're the only ones who can either approve or revoke access to it.
Awesome. I feel like we went straight into the deep end.
Maybe we did. Maybe we skipped a few steps.
Exactly. So, is Nillion an L1? Isn't an L2? Isn't a DApp? What is it?
Nillion is really none of those things. It's a combination of many of them. So because Nillion has this crypto component under the hood, people often think like, oh, maybe it's like a Solana or an Ethereum or whatever it is. And no, Nillion does have what's called the Nil chain, which is essentially the economic security and consensus layer. But where all the action is happening is on what we call our PETNet. PETNet standing for Privacy Enhancing Technology Network. And these are clusters of nodes that essentially take all this data that's sharded into bits, split across all of them, and that's how it's computed on without any one particular node having access to information that could reconstruct anything that matters, right? So what Nillion really is an infrastructure provider that can enable Web 2 applications that have nothing to do with crypto, very crypto native applications that are launched on another chain, or something else altogether we don't know of yet, to go to market. So we have apps right now that are very crypto forward, very crypto public, saying we have a token, we're a crypto app, we're building for crypto users, and we have applications that don't mention the word crypto anywhere in their marketing materials.
Right.
And they're using Nillion to compute on their users' data sets privately and respectfully in the back end.
Awesome. So I'm making the assumption the Nil token will be incentive to run these nodes, run the infrastructure. Is that correct?
Yeah, so right now with Nil chain, which is that underlying layer I mentioned, anybody can go and take their Nil token and stake it to a node. This is built on the Cosmos SDK, so it's something that should be familiar for most people. But I just want to reiterate that the Nil chain itself isn't the type of chain that you'd go on and say, I'm gonna make a swap here, I'm gonna use a DEX, or I'm gonna use a money market, because that's not the goal of it, right? The goal of it is to coordinate the submissions for requests of compute across the PETNet. That privacy layer. So there are some similarities to what you might traditionally think of when you think of like a smart contract functionality enabled network. But it is a completely different model, and it depends on who you ask, right? Some people might say, oh, I've used an app that I happen to know use Nillion. I had no idea Nillion was a crypto company. And there might be other people that say, oh, I know Nillion because I know the Nil token. That's a crypto company.
Kind of seems that this model of being like both Web 2 and Web 3 is the right approach, because I think like the crypto, what has become of crypto is kind of like a sphere of like an echo chamber, and businesses haven't really entered it because business use cases require privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's great to see projects that are bridging the two and introducing privacy at the same time. What got you interested in Zcash?
What got me interested in Zcash? Well, I first became interested in crypto for a variety of different reasons, many of which are completely different from each other. Some ideological, some just wanting to see gains like everybody else. But then I started to realize, okay, what's the core value proposition of what we would call financial crypto? That's peer-to-peer payments without an intermediary. Obviously, stablecoins are great for that, but then the core problem always emerges, which is, especially with the world evolving in the direction that we're seeing today, or I guess devolving is the better word.
Right.
Do you really feel safe going out and paying somebody back that you don't really know for something they just spotted you on, or going to a bookstore and paying for your coffee or whatever it is, right? And allowing the person on the other side of that transaction to see every asset you own, every transaction you've ever made, your entire social graph. I know things like Venmo have the ability to make payments public, but there's still a huge difference here in the sense that you're actually seeing the exact balance that everybody has. And I mean, you don't have to go far. You don't have to do a lot of research to see that the amount of wrench attacks, which in crypto is what we call physical attacks on people, are on the rise, with now up to about one physical reported attack per week, or kidnapping. And let's just put it this way, crypto should empower people, should allow them to be able to store their wealth in a sovereign way where only they're in control of it, and also use that for one of its intended mechanisms, which is a medium of exchange, without necessarily putting themselves and those they care about at risk from a personal and digital safety perspective.
Fully agree. There is the personal safety concern, right? Something I've been more interested in digging deeper on, and this is something that Nillion is perhaps more equipped to solve than just a payment mechanism, is like the effect of a lack of privacy on society itself, where these major corporations, like, I don't know, let's say big 5 corporations, own everyone's data. They're able to like manipulate people into, like, if they know what you're afraid of, if they know what you're fond of, they're able to manipulate whichever platforms you're using to, I don't know, shift the direction of society. Yeah, I think, you see Cambridge Analytica, and that was many years ago, and I can only imagine that how advanced it's become. So yeah, finding ways to keep our data processed privately is something I'm pretty excited to see.
I think those two things go hand in hand. On one hand, aside from the personal safety issue of, like, crime targeting you, if there is no sort of privacy in payments, then you're also deterring people from acting freely in terms of what causes they choose to donate, whether those are political or in any way charged in any other sense. But when it comes to data privacy, I mean, one of the core use cases where I think Nillion will make the greatest impact is that, to your point of being able to manipulate society at large, if you are the monopoly of data, right? If you own everybody's data and they have no say in how that's used, people saw Cambridge Analytica some years ago and they thought that was pretty bad. Now imagine that at scale, where you've fed every single detail of your personal life, your fears, your concerns, the things you're looking forward to, the things you don't want to see, into an AI model that is then using that to create a hyper-personalized, essentially PsyOps agent that will be used on each individual at scale to achieve things that could not be done just with mass targeting of information, right? So, yeah, I mean, people talk to AI as if that was a conversation between them and AI, but it's not, right? And so I think those two things in combination, without having both financial privacy and data privacy, especially in the era of AI, we're not going to have a free society. And that's why I think that tools like Zcash and tools like Nillion and what they enable are so complementary.
Awesome. Well, this has just been an introduction. I hope I'm able to speak to you again sometime soon.
Likewise.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
You too.